through, you know, and I specifically remember that "Don't You Forget About Me" song, Simple Minds. Like, it was around that era that was really popular. That Kevin took him around the store, and that he spent like 2 hours with the guy, and the guy spent, you know, like $2,000, right? He had a limousine that double parked outside.
That would be now known as a music supervisor. He could have been paid a lot.
The music supervisor, yeah. But John Hughes would drop like $2,000 and spend 2 hours in the store, and that was a big deal. Yeah.
I mean, you guys would see a lot of national touring musicians and celebrities. Everybody kind of knew. You said that I think Robert Plant used to shop there, which wouldn't make sense at first, but kind of does. He's actually a pretty big.
But no David Bowie.
No David Bowie.
No David Bowie. He sold bootlegs, so David Bowie refused to come in. Not true.
That's true.
That's what your dad told me.
Bowie was not a fan. Okay.
Bowie knew all about Wax Trax. Bowie knew all about Wax Trax, but refused to come in because he had his ethics were like, or no, I know those guys sell bootlegs, so he refused to go to Wax Trax because Wax Trax sold bootlegs of him. I mean, and when you think about it to this day, like David Bowie's very controlling about his music and his publishing and Rykodisc and all that stuff. It makes sense.
He's the richest musician that ever existed.
Seriously.
Well, that's after getting ripped off for many, many years too, though. All sort of stuff. Any other questions? Anybody? Comments? Questions? Criticisms?
Memories? Anybody have any memories in the store? Going there?
Yeah. How many people here went to the original store on Lincoln? Any comments on what you guys first thought? Like, why would you go there?
Jim, if you went in there and say, "Jim, what's new?" he would take the time out to say, "Man, this is cool. This is cool. You gotta hear this new Buzzcocks single." He was very involved. He wouldn't give you the brush off. He would always, if you say, "Hey man, what do you like?" he would always be 3 steps ahead of anybody else in the music biz. So almost every band that I loved in that era, I found out through him. So you got to hear this Cramps record. Who? The Cramps, man. They're the bomb. So he was.
Say the bomb.
Wow. My brain is mush at this point, so I don't. No, he said they were really cool. So one thing there was a band from Colorado called the Johnny Three, and he kind of got them to come to Chicago, and they were one of the early kind of bands in part of the punk new wave scene. They were really a brilliant band, and I just loved that band. He's like, "You gotta see this band at gas bars on Friday." I'm like, "Really?" He goes, "You gotta go." And then I saw him, and I went to see him every time they played in the area, and I just wish he would have done a record with that band, because they would have been cooler than almost anybody else. They're a really great band.
And in our other film, you weren't there. A lot of people said the same thing. Jeff Pizzotti from Naked Ray Gun said the same thing. Go into the store, ask Jim what was great, and he would just blast stuff in the speakers for you.
You had beyond. So one experience was getting to have like Jim walk you around the store, which was epic. The other piece of that would have been getting to sit in the living room and have them play records and video for you, which was just like...
I was talking to Mark about that the other day.
My job interview was sitting in the living room with them, smoking a joint, and just having them... They had these like Klipsch Voice of the Theater speakers that were like... I mean, it was a club PA in their living room. And like...
However, they also just had like butcher paper on the walls because they never finished their fucking living room.
The walls were covered in butcher paper, and it was just like...
Drywall later, speakers now.
Right.
One other thing I want to mention about Wax Trax as a fan was they had the little cardboard dividers for all the bands. and they were all hand-colored, handwritten. They had weird comments on each one. It was brilliant. There was funny bits in there. There was just stuff they'd say to Clash. This one's good. This one sucks. And they had, I don't know who did all that artwork.
Everybody did.
That was like one of the best parts of Wax Trax were those card dividers and all that art.
I agree. My dad taught me how to make bubble letters and shadow letters, and I've taught my kids that since. I remember coming up on spring breaks and summer vacations and always making like new cards for the records. And one time my dad said, "Please, would you please make a new bathroom sign?" And there's pictures of me on one of the 7-inch yellow cardstock is what it was, I believe. And I was doing my latest bubble lettering, and I spelled rest rom. A little embarrassing. But back to the record playing. I know you want this, Rodney. My dad, even when I was little, it was always about like, listen to this, come listen to that. And people would come over to the house and he would just like commandeer the party and play records, play records, play records. He showed up at my roller skating party in 8th grade in Topeka, Kansas, and brought the new Silicon Teens record. And he was like, have them play this. And I was like, can you play this, please? And they're like, no. And my dad said, play this, it's my kid's birthday. And so they played it, and we roller skated, and it was really great. What else was I gonna say? There was something really important. I'll think of it later. We have an hour. Holy shit. Somebody asked a question.
Marcus.
Shit.